Welcome back to Share Science, the weekly science brief for May 25th, 2026. I'm Curie.
And I'm Derek.
Okay, so here's something that stopped me in my tracks this week. Nearly 80% of the world's rivers are losing oxygen. That's not just a climate story. It's an ecosystem story, a food security story, and honestly, a survival story.
That's a staggering number. And it's not just rivers, right? This week's science news is packed with stories that touch every corner of life. Oceans, brains, even the internet in your house.
Exactly. We've got rising sea levels explained in unprecedented detail, Wi-Fi signals that can identify you through walls, junk food literally rewiring the brain, and vitamin B12 guidelines that might not be protecting aging brains as well as we thought. Let's get into it. Let's start with sea level rise. For decades, it's been one of those climate topics where the numbers were all over the place. Different studies gave different projections, and the uncertainty was frustrating. But this week, a major new analysis published in Nature has finally given us the most complete explanation yet.
So what's the breakthrough here? What makes this study different?
For the first time, scientists have quantified every major factor contributing to sea level rise with precision. They've broken it down into three main drivers: thermal expansion, glacier melt, and ice sheet melt. And they've tracked how each of these has changed over time.
Okay, let's break those down. Thermal expansion. What's that?
It's simple physics. When water warms, it expands. So even if we didn't add a single drop of new water to the oceans, warming alone would make sea levels rise. That's been a steady contributor for decades.
And the other two drivers? Glaciers and ice sheets?
Glacier melt refers to mountain glaciers and smaller ice caps around the world, like those in the Alps or Alaska. These have been melting faster and faster. But the big one is ice sheet melt, Greenland and Antarctica. These are the long-term heavyweights, and their contributions have been accelerating dramatically.
So what's the big takeaway from the study?
Since the early 1990s, the rate of sea level rise has roughly doubled. Thermal expansion has stayed steady, but the acceleration is all about ice. Greenland and Antarctica in particular are now contributing more than ever before. And the implications are huge. Coastal cities like Miami, Jakarta, and Amsterdam are already seeing the effects.
Even small increases in sea level can turn rare flooding events into regular disasters. It's a stark reminder of how interconnected everything is.
Absolutely. And the study's authors emphasize that this isn't about doom. It's about precision. The better we understand what's driving sea level rise, the better we can predict and plan for what's coming. If you're curious, search for Sea Level Rise Acceleration, Nature 2026, to dive into the details.
All right, let's move from oceans to rivers. This one is a big deal that's flying under the radar. A global analysis looked at dissolved oxygen levels in over 21,000 rivers, spanning 4 decades of data. And the finding? Nearly 80% of the world's rivers are losing oxygen.
That's a huge number. And dissolved oxygen might sound abstract, but it's critical. It's what fish breathe. It's what all aquatic life depends on. When oxygen levels drop too low, you get dead zones, where almost nothing can survive.
And the connection to climate change is direct, right?
Exactly. Warmer water holds less oxygen. It's basic chemistry. As global temperatures rise, rivers warm, and their ability to carry oxygen drops. On top of that, warmer temperatures speed up microbial activity in rivers, which consumes oxygen faster. It's a double hit. Less oxygen going in, more oxygen being used up.
What's surprising is the geographic pattern. Tropical rivers, which are already warm, are losing oxygen at some of the fastest rates. And these rivers support incredible biodiversity and some of the most vulnerable human populations.
There are local factors too. agricultural runoff, sewage, land use changes. But the study makes it clear. The global climate signal is the dominant driver. If you want to see the maps and read more, search for Rivers Losing Oxygen Global Analysis, Climate 2026. Now, let's talk about Wi-Fi. Researchers in Germany have shown that Wi-Fi signals can be used to identify specific people through walls. And they did it using only the hardware in a standard Wi-Fi router.
Wait, how does that even work? Wi-Fi signals aren't cameras, they don't capture images.
True, but they scatter. When Wi-Fi signals travel through a room, they bounce off walls, furniture, and people. The human body reflects and absorbs radio waves in unique ways. Your size, shape, and movements create a distinctive pattern in how you distort the surrounding radio field.
So it's not like a photograph. It's more like a radio silhouette that's unique to you.
Exactly. The researchers used machine learning to analyze these distortion patterns and associate them with specific individuals. In their experiments, the system could identify people with high accuracy. Not perfect, but good enough to raise some serious questions.
The implications are huge. This doesn't require cameras, microphones, or any active participation from the person being identified. Any Wi-Fi-enabled device, a router, a smart speaker, could potentially be used as a sensor.
The researchers are framing this as a double-edged sword. Yes, it's a surveillance risk, but it could also have positive applications, like fall detection for elderly people. The big question is, who controls the data, and how is it used? Search for Wi-Fi Human Identification Through Walls, TU Munich 2026, to learn more.
Story 4. And this one hits close to home for anyone who grew up on a diet of junk food. New research shows that eating high-fat, high-sugar diets early in life can rewire the brain's appetite control systems. And the changes persist into adulthood, even if the diet improves later.
The study was done in animal models, so we can't directly translate the findings to humans. But the mechanisms are similar enough to raise serious questions.
What did the researchers find?
They focused on the hypothalamus, the brain region that regulates hunger and satiety. Animals raised on junk food showed structural changes in hypothalamic circuits. The neurons that detect hunger and signal "stop eating" were altered in their sensitivity and connectivity. And even after switching to a healthy diet, those changes didn't reverse.
Which might explain why some people struggle with appetite regulation even when they try to eat better as adults.
Exactly. This research suggests that early dietary environments could have lifelong effects on how the brain regulates food intake. It's a strong argument for prioritizing healthy diets during childhood. Search for Junk Food Early Life Brain Rewiring Hypothalamus 2026 to read the full study. Last story. Vitamin B12. It's essential for brain health, and a new study suggests that the levels most of us consider normal might not be enough to protect aging brains.
What does B12 actually do?
It's crucial for nerve function. It helps synthesize myelin, the protective sheath around nerve fibers, and it regulates homocysteine levels, which are linked to inflammation and cognitive decline.
And deficiency is common, especially in older adults.
Very common. As we age, it gets harder to absorb B12 from food. People who eat little or no animal products are also at risk, as are those on certain medications like metformin or proton pump inhibitors.
So, what did the study find?
Researchers found that older adults with B12 levels in the lower, normal range showed greater cognitive vulnerability. The takeaway? The threshold for what we consider normal might need to be raised, especially for older adults. Search for Vitamin B12 Guidelines, Aging Brain, UCSF, Cognitive 2026 for more.
And that's our week. Rising seas, oxygen-starved rivers, Wi-Fi that sees through walls, junk food rewiring brains. and a vitamin deficiency that might quietly be affecting millions.
Science touches everything: the oceans, the rivers, the walls of your home, and the inside of your brain. Thanks for joining us.
Until next time.
Stay curious, everyone.